We are back. It's John Pollock, John Ramdeen, and Robin Black with you, and we're going to continue to chat about Bellator because they had a major announcement on Saturday. That is the signing of Fedor Emelianenko to come in and fight Matt Mitrione February the 18th, doing it in ever so Bellator fashion with a very strange setup of a mystery contract and it being signed with the name blacked out. I guess ignoring when Matt Mitrione tweeted about this a number of weeks ago that he would likely be fighting Fedor. But nonetheless, the fight is now occurring. Fedor comes in, and John, my question to you, as someone that watched that Fabio Maldonado fight, is this going to be a wise stylistic matchup for Fedor?
Hey, what you have to remember is, yes, Fedor got hurt, but that's one of the reasons why people love watching Fedor. He just, couldn't, I'm not saying that he couldn't respond. He ended up winning the fight against Maldonado.
Yes.
But the fact is,
Did he?
Yes, he did. The fact that
the record book will read.
If you watch that fight, Fedor was hit by a car in round one. The fact that he was
a light heavyweight car.
Yeah, it's amazing that he was able to come back and inflict damage on Fabio Maldonado. And you have to give credit to Maldonado too. He showed his toughness. It's one of those things when you're talking about action fighters. That's what you want to see from Fedor. Fedor do his thing, and that's what I think why people are interested still in watching Fedor, because the guy, he's a legend, and he takes a ridiculous amount of damage and always somehow finds a way to win.
And the goal here is people tuning in to watch this guy. That's it. It's regardless of the performance. Now, we saw with Strikeforce, they committed a lot of money to Fedor with the hope that that was going to propel them onto CBS, onto pay-per-view. That didn't pan out, and it ended up being a real burden on Strikeforce. With Viacom, this is pretty clear that they are willing to spend a lot of money to bring guys in, and Fedor being one of them.
I think you gotta. I think that's the landscape now. If you want to compete, you got to compete pretty high up. You got to take risks. But we live in a time where there's finance and there's money and there's investors out there more than happy to invest in Ramdeen.com app whatever net. You know what I mean? There's people spending money. People who have money are gambling money, and this is a gamble. I was a famous Fedor hater. Years back, 8-10 years ago, I got literal death threats, like literal email. I will slit your throat.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Signed John Ramdeen.
Yeah, exactly. The interesting thing for me personally, in my personal journey to learn shit and get smarter as I get older, is when I look back, Fedor was brilliant. I was wrong. Maybe I was being a bit of a troll. I don't know. But Fedor was brilliant. You look at the timing on that right hand with more knowledge and understanding of fighting. And yes, I was that stupid. But you look back, and this was one of his timing on that right hand was one of the true great weapons and threats in all of fighting. Then you add his toughness, his unwillingness to be broken, all of that. I wish I appreciated it more then. Now he's in his 40s. I don't know what we'll see. I want to see that right hand land on Matt Mitrione. No offense, Matt. And then I want to see my friend and mentor, Chael Sonnen, fight him at 205 pounds.
Yeah.
I hope Fedor does well. Sorry, Mr. Fedor, that I was such a hater, because you really have been one of the best fighters ever.
He forgives you.
He doesn't know who I am.
You also got to see this vibe on this Bellator card in San Jose. George St. Pierre was there, obviously. Francis Carmon fighting on the card. Gilbert Melendez interviewed after his wife's victory. They're putting up tweets, taking knocks at the UFC card. You're certainly getting this company that is dancing around this promotional war, because I think it's advantageous for Bellator to be the aggressor against the industry leader. George St. Pierre is in an interesting state. He has a very different definition of what his status is with the UFC than the UFC does with him, and Bellator is just more than happy to put him on their social media, showcase him, and say, hey, you guys can interpret this however you would like. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
And we are.
That's exactly it. They're doing the right things, especially during this time of change for the UFC. The big moves that they made, showing Ben Henderson again. They went and got a free agent there. Rory McDonald, they got him. Signing Fedor, having GSP there. It's kind of changing people's perspective, because, A, they're seeing that a lot of fighters are making money, and, that's kind of reserved for the fighters at the top of the heap in the UFC. Now, I know it's going to be that way eventually in Bellator, but right now it seems that you can make quite a bit of money and you don't have to be the champion.
Do you think George can realistically, I guess anything's possible with if Viacom's willing to lose money on this, to pay George what he could make for headlining a UFC pay-per-view, because that sounds like an awful business move. A Bellator pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have the infrastructure to be able to do it. We spent 2.5 hours hanging out with George, just at a table, just really the three of us. We drank 8 beers each. George was training, so he had none. But he told us in detail, in depth, about his life, the reality. And listen, I'm not going to tell you everything George said because people do that way too much. George can't trust anybody to say.
He wants to fight, though.
George wants to fight, and he understands that now he doesn't get to fight a man in a cage because some dudes, coked up lawyers in suits, are meeting in a business room and they're fighting. And he understands that. And so all the other stuff, wherever he is, whatever's going on, all you really need to know is George really does want to fight. George is training. He's built his own gym. He wants to fight, but he doesn't get to fight. Some coked up lawyers get to fight instead.
What's interesting is because George, especially with the new landscape of things, said, I want to go back to my karate style. You know, once you get into this mixed martial arts game, you're kind of forced to play, you know, to learn the curriculum of mixed martial arts. He says, I'm kind of reinvented. I think fans would love to see GSP in today's age.
My last thing on this is that the UFC, they have promised some incredible numbers that they have to hit in 2017. Ronda Rousey is going to fight December 30th. It could be her last fight ever, and if it's not, she's not coming back instantly. Conor McGregor is out till May. So you're looking at the first 6 months of UFC pay-per-view business not looking great. And that to me is a lot of leverage if you're George St. Pierre of having someone to prop up those first 6 months. That does it for us. For Robin, John, I am John Pollock, and thanks for watching.